Hey guys, Ryan from Peak. Let's talk squats. So, highly argued exercise with what the proper form is. There are a lot of different types of squats to do. We want to stick with a couple rules that'll keep us safe and effective, and then you can fine tune later as you go through progressions. All right, so what we're going to do first is just get our angles right. So we're going to start with our feet pretty close together, hip width, toes pointed straight forward. I want your tripods up in the feet. All right, so build those arches up, get the arches off those imaginary thumbtacks, and that should line up knees right over middle toe, okay? Hands on hip bones. We're gonna make sure we're level. We're gonna make sure our shoulders are level left to right, and we're gonna bend ankles, knees, and hips, okay? As we bend ankles, knees, and hips from the front, we wanna make sure we have those straight lines, and then our weight is a little more dominant in heels than toes. So I'm sitting back with my hips in order to get that, okay? So that should look like that as far as your angles from the front, okay? From the side, same exact position, all right? We should look like that. So everybody's gonna look a little different with their range of motion, but what rules we're following from the side are shin angle, all right? As I go forward, see my shins moving that way? Our shin angle should mimic our spine angle, okay? So think spine, if you were to draw a line from your ears through your shoulders, through your hip joints, that creates a straight line, okay? So as I go down in my squat and my shins are on that angle forward, right? My spine's on the same exact angle, so we have two parallel lines. So if I'm doing my squat this way, knee dominant, without any hips, it's not a squat anymore. A lot of shearing load on the knee. All right, if I go this way, not a squat anymore. Doesn't mean it's a bad exercise, it's just not a squat. So we need parallel lines. We're sitting back with our hips. Our weight's a little more dominant on the heels than the toes, right? And the way that you can focus on that and make sure we're utilizing that cue as we squat is that if we have a chair behind us and we want to sit down on that chair and we're a little too dominant in the forefoot, right, the front of the foot, and I slide my hips down, they're right over my heels, I'm going to miss the chair, right? I'm going to come all the way down, I'm going to miss it. So what I want to do is be able to sit my hips back, get in that chair, right? Sit that way, okay? And still have those parallel lines. Now, if we're hinging too much, again, not a squat. So find the middle ground, and that's where we want to go. All right, now as we squat, one thing that's highly debatable is your range of motion or your depth. So we all have different range of motion at our ankles, sometimes at our knees if we've had any kind of injury in the past or any issues there, or hip joints, okay? So we want to listen to our own body. So range of motion is something that's individual specific. It is not standardized, and that's where people wind up in trouble. So as I squat with this closer stance, which is a little more restrictive than the way I'm going to show you in a second, as I squat down and sit back, right there is about all I have right now without breaking a rule. So I can go lower, but check out the low back, right? See how it rounds? Because I ran out of hip range of motion. My hips don't have any more in this plane. So I have to move from the spine, and that's obviously not a safe, effective position. My ankles don't have any more either, right? So if I go any further, I'm gonna wind up doing a compensation where maybe my feet go flattened, toes turn out, and we know I'm putting strain on the knees. So there's no need to go any deeper. But what I don't want you to do is shortchange either. So find your limitation, check your rules, make sure the arches stay up in the feet, make sure your knees are staying in alignment, and our back has that in to out curve that we maintain through our entire range of motion, okay? So a good way to check on the back position is to go middle knuckle right on the intersection of your pant line and your spine. And if you put that middle knuckle right on there and we go little finger or pinky down on your tailbone, thumb up, that whole section of your spine should have that slight in to out curve, as you guys can see there in the video, right, in my back. So if I hold that position, I'm in my squat again. As I squat down, I'm good, I don't feel any movement there. If I go a little deeper past my range of motion, now with my hand, I can feel that my back moved. I flattened out my spine, I lost the curve that I should have. So self-monitor using that cue, and that'll really help you understand how low you should go. All right, now that's just a straightforward squat. We use that to learn, and we also use that to apply to a power stance. So that would be a squat jump, that would be any kind of explosive lifts, anything we want to do where we're moving fast, okay?